Hello, Dark Sniper here. I thought we would take a look at a couple different door types. So we just released a video on this door where it was a little complex. So now we'll go back and we'll start at the beginning. Here's a basic setup. It's a door that when it opens, it goes up into the ceiling, comes back down, and we activate it just by bumping into it. It's about as simple as it gets. Let's take a look and see how we build it. All right, here's the setup. It's just a basic mover, and its initial state is bump open time. So that means when you bump into it, it opens. It takes 2 seconds to go to the open position and hangs out for 4 seconds, and then it takes 2 seconds to close. And that's it. That's as simple as you can get. Let's go ahead and we'll just make our own. I'm going to left click on that mover just so we can grab the brush without having to remake it. Polygons to brush. My builder brush is hidden. I'll hit the B key. And we'll hold down Control and drag this over to this spot. And there we go. Now we'll just add a basic mover by clicking on the mover here, left click. Let's get our builder brush out of the way. We'll select it, right click, key 1, move it up to its fully opened position, right click, key 0, and there we go. That's it. If we didn't want to add sounds or we didn't want to change the speed, that would be all we'd have to do. But if we want to do any of that, we can open this up, go to mover. Let's say we want it to take 2 seconds to go to the fully open position. Just a quick word on encroach. Return when encroach. If this were a door that pivoted or it was sliding in from the left or right, and like an elevator door, and we got in the way and it touched us, it would go back. It would immediately go back. That's return when encroach. If we stop when encroach, we could actually have the mover stop its progress. Crush when encroach would actually kill the player. If it connects the player and there's the players between another object, it will kill them. Ignore when encroach, the mover would just pass right through the player. So we won't worry about that. Let's go to sounds. Open up our sound browser, and we already have a couple sounds here used in the other movers. We'll just take this one. Yeah, we'll make that the open, and then we'll grab this thump for the close. That's it. That's all we have to do. We build and we go check it out. There we go. That's pretty simple. Well, before we leave, let's look at this other thing I have here. Here's a set of double doors that are on a pivot. And of course, the texture could be better to illustrate that. But watch this. When we approach it, the doors swing open. But then they remain open. What's going on? Well, that's set up as trigger toggle. So every time I activate the trigger by entering into its radius, I activate the doors until I move back into the trigger radius. The doors would remain open or shut. So It's probably not the best application, but it's quite visual. You can see what's going on. So let's go ahead and look at how we build a door that pivots. Oh, and if I'm not too together in this, it's been a long day. So if you have any questions, any comments, just let me know. I'd be happy to answer them, be happy to help you out in any way I can. So we have, I'm just going to grab one of these polygons to brush. Just to quicken the video, speed it up a little bit here. We're going to add that. So there's our door. And you build it like any other brush. But the main thing, the primary thing you want to pay attention to is where this pivot is. Because this is a rotating door, so that pivot has to be in the corner that you want it to pivot on, to rotate on. And you can do that by right-clicking, positioning it where you want. So that's good. We'll just polygons to brush. That's my favorite command. And come in our top view, drag our builder brush, and of course we want the pivot to be in a reasonable place. If we put it here, well then it'll work, but it may look a little funny. I like to put it on the corner. We need to go in a side view, make sure we're ground level there. All right, and once again, it's just a basic mover. So there's that mover, and let's go ahead and grab this one since the pivot is reversed. And add it. So now we have both our doors there. Let's get rid of our builder brush. So to program in the rotation, we'll have to do that from the top view. We select our mover, right click, keybase 1, then we hold down left control and right mouse button and drag our mouse until it comes to the angle we want. Right click, keybase 0. And that's it. If you have a brush and you've been working, building stuff, and for some reason it's deforming whenever you try to rotate it, or it's just not acting properly, you can reset all and transform permanently, and that resets the brush properties back to default in case you've changed it for some reason. So keybase 1, left control, right mouse button, keybase 0. And again, that's it. If we wanted these to be bump open timed, and we certainly could, although it'd be kind of hard trying to bump into it and have it open against you at the same time. If you didn't change the encroach type, it would just hit you and bounce back, hit you and bounce back. So we probably need to make these trigger activated. I'm going to delete that brush there. All right. So let's grab a trigger from our actor browser. It's the pawn up here at the top next to the G. Grab a trigger. Add the trigger. See the radius here. So we could do something simple. We could go to the trigger properties, collision. Looking at it in the top-down view. And just kind of center it on the doors. We may need it to be just a little bit bigger because the door is going to swing open. We might want to be able to activate it when we're outside the radius, or you could have 2 triggers. But sometimes that creates a little bit of a hassle. Let's just make it a little bigger. That'll probably work. So let's call this door 232. I don't know. That sounds good. Copy it. We'll select both our doors there and go to the mover properties. Paste. And look, see the lines appeared, so that means and it's going to the pivots because that's where it wants to move it. Let's select them again. Let's just tell them we want maybe a 0.5 move time just to have them swing wide open. And then object, we need to change it to trigger open time. Let's rebuild and see if it works. So here's our trigger toggle. Yep. Now here's our new one. Well, look at that. And it closes because it stays open for 4 seconds. Closes. There we go. Pretty nice, pretty nice. All right, well, I've got one more thing to show you, and that is trigger controlled door. So we have this door, and we've associated it with this pad. So you guys are smart enough to know that, oh, there's going to be a trigger there, and it's going to interact with that door. Now look at that. But this is trigger controlled, meaning as soon as we leave the area of the trigger, oh, look at that, the door is starting to close. If we go back and then we leave it, see, isn't that pretty neat? That's pretty cool. And of course, we can, if I wait till it opens all the way, we can run and slide in. And now, just like Indiana Jones or Laura Croft, we're stuck forever. Let's go see how we build it. All right, so as you've guessed, this mover operates just like these movers, so we don't really have to redo that. All we need to change is that it's trigger controlled. We give it its own tag, and then we tell the trigger to call that event, call that tag. One thing we do want to be aware of is the mover speed. We need to give it a, if you want it to have to be where they hit the trigger and then they got to run to get in there, well, you want to give them a little bit of time to get in there. So that's the move time. You'll notice with the trigger control and the trigger toggled, the stay open time doesn't really come into effect. So that's all I have, I think, with the doors here. I have been playing with one other thing, if you are interested. Well, let's go look at it. I'm sure most of us are aware that when people make ladders, you make a ladder and then you put an invisible staircase as steep as you can and still walk up it. So I don't like it. And of course, the animations are not there. We don't have any UT animations of climbing a ladder, but I've just been curious as to how we could maybe make a ladder without the invisible staircase. So when I step up to the ladder, I get a message that says jump. So if I jump, oh, look at that. So how did we do that? Well, I don't know if it works or not. I mean, I haven't tested it other than just now. It'd be interesting to see if it does work. All it is I put a brush there and I made it a zone portal. And then I put a zone info in there. And I changed the gravity to 0, the Z gravity to 0. So when you in there and you jump, you go all the way to the top. I'm curious to know if it would actually function online, or I don't know if we could get the bots to use it or not. That'd be some good experimentation. Well, I think that's all for tonight, friends. Video's probably long enough. If you have any questions, comments, or anything you want to see a tutorial on, just let me know. Other than that, have a great day, great evening.